Well, good evening. Welcome to the June edition of Sky Views, brought to you by the New Jersey State Museum Planetarium. I'm Bill Murray, planetarium technician at the planetarium. Let's take a look at some interesting sights visible in our warm June skies this year. We're looking towards the west at about 10 p.m. on the evening of June 21st, the evening of the summer solstice. And as you can see, even at this late hour, there's still some twilight lighting up our western and northwestern sky. The fact that the sun doesn't set until about 8:30 and the sky remains twilight lit until after 10 o'clock is great for people at this time of year who are holding parties and other evening events like cookouts. But it's not great for astronomers because there's very little dark night at this time of year, only about 5 hours or so from about 10:30 when the last bit of twilight has faded from our evening skies until about 3:30 in the morning when the sunlight begins to light up our eastern horizon. But you don't need truly dark skies in order to be able to do astronomy. And this evening, if you can get out at about 10 p.m. and take a look towards the west, if you have a low western horizon, you'll see a very interesting sight. A conjunction of three very bright objects low in our western sky. The first is the crescent moon. The moon was new a few days ago and is returning to our evening skies. It'll probably be the first object you see after the sun has gone down. But almost equally impressive just below the moon is the very bright planet Venus, closest planet to us here on the Earth. And forming the third point of that right triangle is the planet Mars. So on the evening of the 21st, if you get out around 9 p.m. or so and start looking towards the west, you should be able to see the moon. You may also be able to see Venus as well. And as the sky darkens, you should be able to see the third point on that triangular conjunction, the planet Mars. If you have binoculars, it will make all of those objects easier to see. So if the weather is clear on the evening of the 21st, get out, look to the west, and see the moon, the planet Venus, and the planet Mars together in our June skies. As I said earlier, June 21st is the date of the summer solstice, the official beginning of summer here in the northern hemisphere. And as we've also explained previously on Sky Views, the reason why we have seasons here on the Earth is that the Earth doesn't rotate upright with respect to its orbit around the sun, but is tilted over at an angle of about 23.5 degrees. And that means at certain times of the year, like now, the northern hemisphere is pointed towards the sun. And so this is the official beginning of summer for the next 3 months. During this time of year, the sun is in the sky for about 14 hours a day, providing a lot of energy and warmth to the Earth, and also shines more directly on the northern hemisphere at this time. Meaning we get more radiancy from the sun per unit area of the Earth. And that is the reason why it is warm at this time of year. 6 months from now, we'll be pointed away from the sun, and the sun will only be in the sky for a few hours, and the sunlight will be less direct as well, and we'll have winter. But for now, here in New Jersey, enjoy the warm weather this summer. High in our northern sky at this time of year is the large but dim constellation of Draco the Dragon, which curls in between the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. In mythology, the name of the dragon was Ladon, and it was set as a guard over the golden apples of the Hesperides. And like many constellations in the sky at this time of year, including the constellations of Cancer, Leo, and Hydra, it's associated with the Greek hero Hercules. As one of his 12 labors, Hercules was tasked with stealing the golden apples, and he slew the dragon with poison arrows and was able to steal the apples. The apple tree that they were on was owned by the goddess Hera, who was no friend of Hercules, and she was not pleased that Hercules had managed to slay her guardian and steal the apples of the Hesperides. Draco has several interesting stars, one of which is the brightest in the constellation, the star Alpha Draconis, also known as Thuban. These days, Thuban is a relatively obscure third magnitude star in the tail of the dragon, but it occupied a much different position 5,000 years ago. At that time, during the ancient kingdom of Egypt, it was the North Star. And the reason why it was the North Star at that time is due to something called the precession of the equinoxes. If you've ever seen a spinning top, you'll know that after this top starts spinning initially, after a few seconds or minutes, its axis begins to wobble. The physics name for that wobble is precession, and the Earth is a spinning object too. And just like the top, its axis wobbles. Only it takes the wobble of the Earth's axis 26,000 years to complete one circuit. Shown here is a picture of that circuit amongst the stars in the northern part of our skies here in New Jersey. It's a circuit that takes 26,000 years to complete. And currently, the North Celestial Pole, the point where the Earth's axis points in space, is very close to the star Polaris, also known as the North Star. But 5,000 years ago, in the year approximately 3000 BC, it wasn't anywhere near Polaris. It was much closer to the star Thuban, Alpha Draconis, in the constellation of Draco the Dragon. In the 20th century, archaeologists discovered what they originally thought were air shafts in the pyramids of Egypt. Shown here is the Great Pyramid of Giza. And eventually they realized that these air shafts were pointed at various stars in the sky, and many of them were directed in the direction of Thuban. So that was another indication that Thuban was a very important star in ancient times. Another interesting star in Draco is the star Kuma, also known as Nu Draconis, which is the dimmest star in the quadrilateral of four stars that make up the dragon's head. Nu Draconis is one of the brightest and easiest visible double stars in the sky. Nu Draconis is a pair of fifth magnitude white stars separated by about 62 arc seconds. The stars are measured to be about 100 light years from the Earth. They are believed to be orbiting each other, although no orbital motion has ever been detected. And in small telescopes, they look like a pair of bright headlights heading towards you on a dark road. One of the better double stars to see in our night skies here in New Jersey. Well, that's a brief look at some of the interesting sights visible in our June skies here in New Jersey. Hopefully the weather will be clear and you'll get a chance to get out and try to find some of them for yourselves and enjoy the warm weather coming this summer. We'll see you again next month in our July edition of Sky Views. Until then, from all of us here at the New Jersey State Museum Planetarium, clear skies.